Kamala's campaign spending scandal just got a lot worse. Last week, we found out Kamala spent millions of dollars buying celebrity endorsements and staging concerts that didn't win a single vote and ended up $20 million in debt. Tonight, we're finding out Kamala was lying to donors to keep the cash flowing.
You didn't launder your money. I take your dirty money and I slip it into the salon's nice, clean cash flow. That's called layering. Final step, integration. The revenues from the salon go to the owner. That's you. Your filthy drug money has been transformed into nice, clean, taxable income brought to you by a savvy investment in a thriving business.
Well, Kamala's team is now continuing to turn against her and leak more information out there, including the eye-watering sum hypocrite Kamala Harris spent on private jets in just the final weeks of the campaign. What happened to McClimate? Apparently, that's for other people, including now the humiliation of continuing to beg her followers for more money after she's lost, weeks after she's lost the election. We have emails from her begging them for more money because she's more than $20 million in debt. And that number seems to go up consistently. You absolutely love to see it. Just quick reminder, shipping next week. They are in print now. I have, obviously, you all remember the original hilarious tailgates for Trump with all of our delicious summer recipes in it, like Kamala Harris's tuna meltdown and all sorts of, Ohio puppy chow, stuff like that. Well, our Christmas book is in now with even more recipes, 50 recipes, all for the holidays. Just delicious. Mega red, white, and mule. We've got Mamala Cackle-Doodles cookies, Insiders Fighting for Insiders, Tiny Tim's Sticky Horseshoe Sandwich, Impeachment Cobbler, Peanuts Bossums. Nice. Rogan's Trap. So, just hilarious. Lemons, no bars, Christmas bathtub greens, all sorts of New Scum San Francisco log. Make sure you pick up that link in the description below over on tailgatesfortrump.com to celebrate the new president. And, it makes a great gift. Eye-watering sum hypocrite Kamala Harris spent on private jets in final week's campaign finally reveals. Kamala Harris has spent an eye-watering $2.6 million in the month of October on private jets to fuel her failed $1 billion race for the presidency. The vice president's campaign, Harris for president, spent nearly $3 million on private flights in just 2 weeks, according to updated FEC filings. That brings her total to $12 million in private jet usage. Records show, but the number will shoot even higher as the final receipts are submitted to the FEC. Oh, it's going to double. It's going to double. Her paid private jet services group, her campaign paid them nearly $2.2 million, and Advanced Aviation Team $430,000 in the last few weeks of her campaign around the country with running mate Tim Horse Sauce Walls. In the use of private transportation, especially air travel, has long been criticized for its huge amount of carbon emission, something Harris told Americans needed to be reduced to combat global warming. Kamala Harris and a lot of pro-climate leaders have a lot of hypocrisy around the words they state and the realities they must think are real, Benji Backer, founder of American Conservative Coalition, told the New York Post. We need sensible solutions on environment and climate issues, but we're not going to get them when there's so much hypocrisy coming from elites that everyone else needs to change their lives except for them. But Harris's contribution to carbon emissions through her historic 107 campaign stops wasn't the only astronomical expense spared for the final ticket. The team behind Harris also spent a whopping 6 figures on the set for the Call Her Daddy, as well as $1 million to Oprah. By the way, we've got more information coming on that. Turns out the number paid to Oprah is far more than that, more than double that. You see also Harris Walsh rarely went out with sweet, little treat, or healthy, hearty meal. They bought more behind the scenes, spending more than $12,000 on DoorDash and Uber Eats. They also spent $63,000 on room and board at a single hotel, a 5-star hotel in Wilmington, Delaware. The campaign spent $10,000 at Pebble Bar near Rockefeller Center in New York City, where the likes of comedian Pete Davidson and others dining inside. The charge was made when Biden was still the Democratic nominee. GOP consultant Aaron Perrine, the New York Post, told nobody should be shocked Kamala Harris not being sworn in January, as her campaign just wanted to have a party rather than get the message out. That's not how it works. She also paid out $5.6 million to 24 liberal college groups, or liberal groups, with a large number of them going to Black and Latino swing states. Many people might think that that's just trying to buy votes. Harris for President campaign's biggest expense went to media buying and analytics, which received $281 million for ad buys and productions, according to records. She spent nearly $1.5 billion in 100 days. Yikes. However, she's still asking dumb libs to give her more money. Why wouldn't she? They've already given her $1.5 billion. Why not give more? Kamala Harris and Democratic Party's prodigious fundraising operation raised more than $1 billion in her loss to Donald Trump. But the vice president is still pushing donors for more money even after losing the election. That's humiliating. Democrats are sending persistent appeals to Harris supporters without expressly asking them to cover any potential debts, enticing would-be donors instead with matters the Republican president-elect picks for his upcoming administration, and a handful of pending congressional contests where ballots are still being tallied. Yeah, nearly 2 weeks after the election, we have half a dozen states that are still counting votes. I mean, give me a break. All of those states should have their, I don't know what you would say, like any federal funding for this kind of stuff revoked immediately. It's an absolute joke that places like Arizona and California are still counting votes almost 2 weeks later. The Harris campaign certainly spent more than they raised and are now busy trying to fundraise. It said Adrian Hammond, a Democratic strategist from Michigan. He said he's been asked by the campaign after its loss to Trump to help with fundraising. The party is flooding Harris' lucrative email donor list with near daily begging aimed at small donors, those whose contributions are measured in the hundreds of dollars or less. But Hammond said the post-election effort also includes individual calls to larger donors. The scramble now underscores the expense involved in losing efforts and immediate challenges facing Democrats as they try to maintain a baseline for political operation to counter the Trump admin and prepare for 2026 midterm. I mean, good luck raising money in the midterms. Like, literally, good luck raising money for the midterms. I just, don't you think all these people that have been absolutely pummeled by your fundraising efforts, and to find out you pissed it away on DoorDash and candy and 5-star hotels, do you think that they're going to be super duper pumped to give you more money? I just don't feel like they're going to be. Internally, the apparent cash crunch is being blamed for the campaign's decision to stop paying many senior staff as of Saturday. So she's literally stopped paying people this weekend, even those initially told that they would be paid through the end of the year. Facing internal frustration, the campaign notified those affected in recent days that their health insurance would be covered through the end of the year, but they will not be paying them. I guess that's something, but you said you were going to pay them through the end of the year, which is 2 more months. It's not like it's a week away. It's 2 months away still. Another person familiar with the fundraising effort and the Democratic National Committee's finances said that Harris' campaign's expected shortfall is a relatively small sum compared to the breadth of her campaign, which reportedly had $120 million in cash on hand in October before the November 5th election. I don't think $20 million is small, and that's probably the biggest disconnect between politicians and the regular guy. I think $20 million is an amount of money that I will never have. I will never understand what it's like to have that kind of money, and most people won't. So calling it small is kind of, kind of out of touch. Kamala Harris raised more than $1 billion for her campaign, still sending a persistent begging emails for donors after defeat. This is, again, somebody who spent $2.6 million on private jets leading up to Election Day. Even the liberal pollsters, who, in my opinion, directly or otherwise, look to shill for Kamala Harris, Nate Silver has a lot of sympathy for, quote, replacement level candidate Kamala Harris. What do you mean, Nate Silver? Didn't you say that it was a razor-thin race and that she was probably going to win the popular vote? A lot of people, a lot of copium, people like Lichtman and his stupid keys, that dumb idiot in Iowa that, in my opinion, got paid off to put out a bunk poll in Iowa. A lot of these people, these paid prognosticators, the people that places like the Daily Mail and New York Post and everyone else said, famed prognosticator of elections predicts this X, Y, and Z outcome because they're so smart. All of these people are frauds. They are desperately out there right now trying to in any way, maintain some level of respect. Like, well, I was criticizing Kamala Harris. She burned through $1.5 billion in 15 weeks. That's $100 million a week. She spent $100 million a week. $100 million a week. I mean, and all these people left in, of course, Trump calling her the probe of famed Iowa pollster, Jan Selzer, after she quits her role. Well, you mean, as many people think, you mean after she probably got paid off to put out a ridiculously false poll just days before the election that Democrats could, to try to inspire Democrats to make sure they still go to the poll? Dozens of stars backed Harris' campaign, and yet she lost. Is the era of celebrity endorsements over? I'm not sure that it was ever a thing. I would be willing to bet that the celebrity endorsement was never really that big of a deal. I just don't think it was. I think it was great to grab headlines, but again, the normal everyday person is worried about the price of gasoline and groceries, not what LeBron James, who's worth $1 billion, or Taylor Swift, who's worth $1 billion. I always thought it was ironic that Kamala Harris was like, oh, Donald Trump only cares about millionaires and billionaires. Here's 5 billionaires who support me. Taylor Swift, LeBron James, Mark Cuban, and more. Listen to my billionaires, not theirs. Don't forget to pre-order your Christmas cookbook, the hilarious, and obviously the Tailgates for Trump for the summertime. Makes a perfect gift. They're all starting to ship next week. The books should be here by Monday next week. We will immediately start shipping them. Link in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.